Merci. Merci, Madame Botello. Le prochain, le dernier, Monsieur Gérard Kennedy.
Merci bien. Je n'accepte pas la moyenne d'aujourd'hui. C'est le meilleur pour nous parce que c'est nécessaire que les libéraux reconnaissent que c'est notre travail de créer le consensus réel parmi la population. Ce n'est pas possible qu'ils n'utilisent pas toutes les technologies, toutes les opportunités pour entendre bien, mais aussi pour agir immédiatement quand il y a des enjeux, comme Kathleen a dit, immédiats. Et j'espère que c'est possible de reconnaître que les jeunes avoir chaque année un politique qu'il faut que l'AI senior de parti doit accepter. Créer de pression par les jeunes pour la prochaine étape, pour la prochaine idée. Et ça, pour moi, c'était très, très important. C'est non seulement les moyennes, mais c'est l'attitude. Dans le parti, il y a des de membres, de caucus et de leaders, et maintenant, c'est temps de libérer le tout. Merci bien.
Merci, M. Kennedy.
Candidates, now we're going to throw the first segment open for discussion and debate. Eric Hoskins.
Well, I want to pick up on 2 points, one made by Sandra and one made by Glenn. Glenn was talking about how last year we were able to, as ministers, engage 8,000 Ontarians to produce a social innovation, social enterprise policy. Now that policy still has to be implemented, but it shows just how powerful information technology can be, and when you can reach out effectively and embrace that many people to develop a strategy like that. And Sandra had also talked about information technology and how it can improve the way that we work as a party. But I want to also mention that, and I think this will resonate with people, is we also need a database that allows us to effectively engage and build our voting base. And I'm talking about Libby. And I'm not sure whether we need a trial separation, or I'm not sure if we can fix it or if we need to replace it. But Libby is not working. And I'm hearing the reaction from people. So it's such an important part of our ability to identify, let alone engage fellow Liberals across this province, that we need to be honest with ourselves that it's not working. And we need to fix it. And I'm committed to fixing it.
Thank you very much. Harinder Takar.
To me, this leadership race is about ideas, and the ideas actually should come from the grassroots. And if we don't get the ideas from the grassroots, we cannot come up with a platform or a plan that actually meets the needs of the people. Like if we come up with our platforms that actually don't reflect the needs of the people, then actually we're doing disservice to ourselves. Unfortunately, the politics has become one-liner. It's not about substance anymore. I think we need to bring back the politics about substance, and the substance is about ideas, and the ideas should be from the grassroots. So what I have done in the last 3-4 weeks is actually went and talked to the people. The people are telling us that don't just come to us during the election time or the leadership debates. You should actually come and visit to us regularly, hear us regularly, and reflect those ideas in your plans. And that's exactly what I have done. I actually taken the ideas, even after I released my 100-day plan, to reflect some of the ideas that the people given to me, like the insurance, high auto insurance rates. So I put that into my platform. Today I released actually yesterday I released the idea about temporary workers that are being exploited by temp agencies. I think those are some of the ideas that came from the grassroots, and those are the ideas that actually might make some sense. That should add, at the end of the day, should be included on my platform.
Thank you very much. Glenn Murray.
Organizing isn't just within our party. Part of my job as an MPP is to make new Liberals. So the first thing I did when I got elected in the by-election was I called my city councillors together, some who were not, some who were Liberals, my school trustees and my MP, fortunately, who's a Liberal. We asked everyone in the neighborhoods to define what their neighborhoods were. They chose 11 neighborhoods. Then we got all the businesses and residents together, and we meet with them every month. They identify the challenges in the community. We together set the priorities. They see their fingerprints. They don't expect me to be their voice. Their voices are heard, and I get 55% of the vote. And I get a lot more people who are Liberals. If we were doing that in 60 or 70 constituencies, and we were that community organized, we'd hold 60 or 70 constituencies. We are dealing with sophisticated, intelligent people out there. Democracy is beyond the ballot box. We have to engage people in more than just voting and paying taxes. People want to be part of the discussion. Using technology online, on-land consultation, and using the kinds of things, again, James Bohr showed us again how to do it. We have liberals who are capable and skilled in organizing, and if we did that in every constituency, we'd be growing our membership. You know, it wouldn't take a leadership election to triple our membership. We'd keep it up around 50,000 all the time if we did that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Murray. Kathleen Wynne.
There are lots of ideas, and a lot of them have been talked about here, and I completely agree with Glenn and with Harinder that it's that riding by riding idea engagement that's very, very important. But I also think that we need to make sure that our attitude is one of trust so that we can create those environments where we can have those conversations. And I met with some young Liberals at one of the provincial councils, and I said to them, push us. Talk to us about the things that may not be 100% comfortable. There are lots of positive things that we talk about, and that's really important. But there are some things that are not necessarily 100% comfortable, and we need to engage on those as well. So that trust that we need to engender, I think some of these mechanisms that we've talked about will be helpful in that. But at the root of it, we need to trust each other as Liberals, that we share a value system, we can have the difficult conversations, and we can come to the best answers that are going to make for a healthy province and society.
Thank you very much. Charles Sousa.
Thank you. You know, a couple of years ago, I was a platform chair preparing for the last election. And what I heard loud and clear was that we weren't doing a very good job of communicating what successes and good work that has occurred over the last number of years. And more importantly, we weren't listening and grabbing some of the good ideas that are coming from you. So one of the things, especially now in a minority government that we're in, it's ever more important that we work more collaboratively together. It's one of the reasons I've also called for more free votes. One of the reasons I've asked for more private members' business so that more of your ideas can be heard and brought forward to the Legislative Assembly. And the more and more I'm there, the more frustrated I get by election cycle politics. A lot of the good ideas that are being brought forward are long-term. And some of these things require courage and require some decisive action. And in a minority situation, even more collaboration with the opposition. What we don't want is more power centrally. We do not want what's happening federally. We do not want to be that party that's disconnected. What works for us is you, and that's what's necessary.
Thank you very much. Gerard Kennedy.
I mean, just to pick up where Charles left off, we really need to have the roles clearly laid out for people to really participate, not just in policy. We really have a last century kind of policy system. If you think about kind of horse and buggy getting resolutions through, and what we can do instead is have iterations of policy that are as quick as are required for issues, for policy, and if you think about what it's been like in terms of the last little while for implementation, why can't Liberals play a role in seeing how well or off track our policies are and have considered ways of feeding that back? How can it work? It really has to be. All political parties have suffered from the same problem. We have to have accountability for the leader. And that means that there's a consequence if somehow any of us run off in a direction. And it's a healthy thing. I can just really assure you that that's the counter we must have. The other party is going to use technology for manipulation. They're going to use that Republican conservative kind of thing. And we should turn it around and enable people and empower those voices, but in an organized way. Because I want you to ask yourself the question, what will it take to get your friends and neighbors to join the party, to take it seriously? They're going to want to be assured that that input is going to be used, that there's clear paths for it, and what James did today is not a one-off, but is the usual working procedure of the Ontario Liberal Party.
Thank you very much. Sandra Pupatella.
Thank you, and I think you can get a flavor of what all of us want to do, but I think that flavor really is coming from you because it's what we've heard. Someone told me that, you know, we don't ask people when they join the party what they do for a living, for example. So here we are in the government looking to outreach into our party to say, I wonder what our Liberals think about this in healthcare, in education, in, pick the occupation that's impacted that day. And we don't do that. We sort of fall upon our Liberals by accident in the fact that they happen to do that for an occupation, and they would have been delighted to help us with these problems. So we could get more organized. We can do this. We, each of us, do this in our own ridings. When I had one for 16 years, I knew exactly where my supporters were in business, in social services, et cetera, to help me move my issues along. So I think we can do better. When the last time we had an ideas conference, you might remember this, it was before we were the government. And what was so exciting about that is that we weren't the government, but we were acting like one, and we were reaching out to Liberals to talk about great ideas. So I think this may well be a blessing in disguise. We're a minority government, but we're ready. We're ready to move back to the people and say, we're listening. We heard you and heard that we didn't come forward with what we should have, and that's to our party. So we're going to do better next time, and I want to lead that process for our party. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One last quick comment to Kathleen.
And actually, I just want to pick up on what Sandra said. She's absolutely right. Actually, we did do another ideas conference at Collingwood, but I think the learning from that is, where did those ideas go? Did they filter in? Did the party feel satisfied that the ideas that were talked about at the Collingwood conference actually got through to the party, to the platform, and we acted on them? So, you know, a party run by the members, for the members, that feeds into the policy process, I think, is incredibly important.
Very quickly, back to Sandra.
Just to make a quick point, when we go out to the sort of the glitterati of ideas people out in that world, I'm talking about our Liberal membership, who would have had a really tough time getting to Collingwood and participating because it was expensive for people, et cetera. And we heard some of that years before, when it wasn't quite as expensive. So I think with the use of technology, we can take what we've done and improve it. It can be done in an efficient manner to really be certain we're reaching out to our party, rural, urban, right across all of the issues that we tend to follow. I think we can do this, and I think based on this crew here, if anything, we're going to come out with one really impressive committee on party renewal for the Ontario Liberal Party.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to close down that segment because we do have 2 more segments to get to. And our second segment today is actually deals with poverty and social services. Our Liberal government's poverty reduction strategy has helped to lift 40,000 children out of poverty. What should the next target be in our ongoing efforts to alleviate poverty? And what would you do, more generally, to reduce income inequality in Ontario? The first to respond for this question will be Harinder Takar.
I think there are 3 points. The one is we need to get out of the cycle of poverty. So in order to get out of the cycle of poverty, I just want to give you my example. When I came to Canada, I had very little money. And I will say I was a working poor, even though I had a master's degree in economics and political science. So what you need to do is, if you want to really get people out of poverty, you need to give access to education. But also you need to provide an opportunity to get good jobs. How do you get good jobs at the end of the day is if all people can have an access to education and the education is affordable, then actually they can get good jobs. But you also need to have programs that can actually help people get good jobs. That's why I said we need to have a small business development agency which will focus on access to capital. It will focus on opening new markets so people can actually create jobs. But more importantly, we also need to give incentives to people who create jobs in this province. But we also need to want to make sure is when people come here, their credentials are recognized and they can actually contribute to their full potential in Ontario's economy.